Hello. So today what I would like to discuss is gauging the success of other businesses, gauging their actual success before you get involved with them. One of the things that a lot of people get wrong is they take advice from people who are not actually successful. And I've talked about that in the previous videos. I've talked about how the only advice that I find useful, the only advice that I listen to, is the advice that comes from people who are actually successful. But the second point of this, the second point that most people miss, is that the business that is giving me advice, the business person or the technician that's giving me advice, is actually following the advice that they gave me. So not only are they successful in their own right, but they're actually doing what it is they're telling me that I should be doing, and that they're be successful with it. Now, one of the things that a lot of people miss in the business world is they go out there and they see these places that look really, really impressive, but they don't realize that they're impressive for different reasons. I'm going to try to explain what I mean through an example before I get into the nitty-gritty of it. But this is a really important concept, so I hope you listen. About 2009, my friend Jake and I started working at this other studio called Play Studios. So we used to work at a place called Progressive Music in the Film Center building, and when that closed, the owner of that place rented a room in the at Play Studios so that we could finish out the work that we had for the clients that we had. Now, when you first walk into this place, when you first walk into the studio, the lobby was huge. I mean, like 25-foot ceilings. I mean, 900 square foot lobby. I mean, it was out of this world ridiculous. You had, $1,500 couches, a big screen television, hardwood floors, lots of space. I mean, you could hold a basketball game in this lobby. Now, the first thing that I thought, as somebody who knew something about the studio world, was, well, this doesn't really make much sense. So space is at a premium in New York City. Studios need a lot of space. They need to maximize the usage of any space they get because they need lots of space in between the rooms so they can put all the insulating material so that you don't hear the sound on the other end. They need a large live room. They need large ISO booths so that they could properly acoustically treat it so things sound good. Space is a premium, and you've wasted all of it on a lobby. How good can this place really be? That was my first thought when I walked into this place. And I was very, very correct. The rooms themselves didn't sound very good. The results that you could get, you were kind of limited in the results that you could get there. A lot of it was hamstringed together, and it just wasn't that great. Now, what a lot of other clients thought walking in was, oh my God, this place looks amazing. Wow, look at this lobby. Oh my God. And I swear to Christ, that lobby alone, the lobby alone got so many people to dump stupid amounts of money into this business that did not make a fucking dime. Now, the owner of Play Studios, the actual owner, was partners with somebody, and that partner made $20,000 to $40,000 a month in net income. Not off of the studio. The studio itself, at best, paid for itself. At worst, lost $10,000, $20,000 a month. That off of the nursing field, off of the medical industry. And she used that success from the medical industry. She used that money from the medical industry to rent the space. She used the money from the medical industry to renovate it to look really, really nice. So when people came in, they thought, wow, this place is amazing. I want to work here. I want to be a part of here. I want to intern here. I want to move my studio here. And what they didn't notice is that they were going to be in for a bunch of ridiculous clusterfucks because they were becoming a part of a space that was not built off of real success. That space was not built with money paid for off of the success from being in the studio business. It was paid off of the success from being in the medical business. So when it came time to set up a recording room, nobody had a fucking clue what to do. When it came time to actually deal with issues, when it came time to even do things like book a session, just booking a rehearsal session, they would book 3 bands in the same room at the same time and not realize why it was a problem. And these bands were paying for like 1 or 2 or 5 or 6 months of rehearsal up front because they just thought, this is a great business. I like the vibe of the place. I like the way it looks. It looks like they're really successful. Let me give them my money. And what happened at the end of it is they realized that the success of the business was based on something else. It sure as shit was not based on it how it was as a studio, because how it was as an actual studio was a clusterfuck. One of my favorite memories of this place was when this guy from the deli around the corner heard that the place was in some financial trouble. He walked up there in his smock. In his smock, he had $15,000. He gave the owner, who had a drug problem, $15,000 just because the place looked nice. And that was it. That is insane. And he never saw that money again. That money was gone because while the place looked impressive, it didn't actually make any money. He made the mistake of judging the place off of how it looks. And that's how a lot of these new companies are nowadays. You find these companies that say, they could make everything work. They could make their idea work with $100,000, right? But they ask for $500,000 or $700,000 or $1 million because they want the nice office. They want the secretary that looks like Christy Brinkley on the cover of People. They want a nice ventilation system. They want nice lighting in the client area. They want IMAX on every desk. And the problem with this model is that when people come in, they're going to think that that success was paid for by the great work that was being done by that company. But if you actually decide to do business with them, you may realize that these people are often much dumber than you, that they know less than you, that while they may have more than you have right now, that a year from now, 6 months from now, 2 weeks from now, they're going to be gone. Play Studios is gone. Now I'm going to explain how I use this to my benefit to get a good arrangement out of the place. When I first walked in and I saw the amount of space that they set aside for a lobby, again, first thing that went into my head was not, wow, this is an amazing lobby. My first question was, this is an amazing lobby. What kind of jackass puts this in the middle of a business where you need space? I mean, I'm saying you go to Avatar Studios. I got to work there when I was 17. It's one of the best studios in the world. You go to Avatar Studios. You go to Studio C. This is a room that goes for $2,000 to $3,000 a day. And the lobby of the studio, no joke, is like from this wall to where my camcorder is. It is, and you have like this 19 or 20-inch CRT television in it. You don't have a 50-inch flat screen, because the lobby is not where a studio makes its money. The lobby is not where a studio makes its money. They make money off of the rooms. So I knew that something fishy was going on here. And I knew that this place was being paid for off of somebody else's money, because after it was built out, and again, the lobby looks amazing, the furniture looks amazing. You go inside the rooms and you see they got a 96 IO, a Power Mac G4 to record with a $200 microphone, and it's like, are you kidding me? Seriously? Like, are you kidding? So I made an arrangement with the guy that worked for me. Because again, I realized in the beginning what type of business it was. I realized what it was, and I was able to use it to my advantage. I told him, I will make everything in all of these rooms work all the time. Everything in every single room here will work. Nobody is ever going to walk up to you and say, I'm not going to pay you for this session because my gear didn't work. You're never going to have to hear that. And I know that that's a nightmare for any studio owner. In exchange, I wish to be able to use the space that you have here for my business. I don't take up a lot of space. My business can fit inside of a cardboard box, and I just want to be able to tell people I work out of here and have my clients meet me here. And this worked out very well for me because, again, I looked at the space, and it's a beautiful space, which is very beneficial for me. They have a lot of space that's open, so they're not going to notice if I'm using it. Most musicians don't really wake up until 3 p.m. anyway, so, I mean, it didn't really... Most of my clients are coming between the hours of 7 in the morning and 2, so most people didn't even notice I was there. And I knew I could make everything work. And this is a big challenge for me. Because again, even though I had worked at Avatar Studios for a good amount of time, even though I learned a lot from them, even though I did go on to have, some success in a freelance career as a technician repairing studio gear, this is a place where I told them, you will not be spending money and everything is going to work. So this was a true challenge for me. I was at a point where to make the tube amp sound good, when the tubes would get oxidized and all this carbon crap on them, I was putting a pad on the floor and I was throwing the tube at the wall, letting it fall onto the pad, and just doing this for about 10 minutes with every guitar amp once every couple of months so that you didn't have to replace the tubes. When the PA speaker's tweeter went out, or the tweeter horn went out, I would wind up actually cutting the coil and recoiling the tweeter instead of replacing it. Like this was a challenge for me. And I'm good, but even though I'm good at doing that for a living, this was a serious challenge. But I managed to make it work for me. Now, the people who didn't make... And there's another guy who made it work for him. They also noticed that there was a lack of talent there. So there was a guy named Bob Brockman that I repaired a laptop for almost 6 years ago. He's a very, very nice guy, very talented audio engineer, amazing guy. And I asked him one day, there's a room that's opening up. Would you have any interest in checking the place out in case you're moving? And he actually said, I'm moving out of the space that I use now today. Let me check it out. Now, he noticed that there was a lack of real talent there. They didn't have plaques in the wall. They didn't have a chief engineer. They didn't have anything to really attract you to it as a professional facility outside the lobby. He said, I'll bring you that. I just want to be able to use this room for free. And he he figured out how to make the situation work for him. And it worked really great for him. Now let me tell you where it didn't work well for others. There would be other people that came in that wouldn't really realize why this room that was set up the way it was worth $2,000 a month. It just didn't make sense to them. It made no sense at all. And they would say, well, look, we got this great engineer. Our chief engineer is Bob Brockman. And they would point to all the plaques on the wall. Even though he's not there because it's a great studio. Keep in mind, he's not there because it's good. He's there because it's free. And so they point and go, look, we got an amazing engineer here. People love it here. We look at the lobby. Look at how amazing this place looks. And they would wind up paying $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month for a room. And they would wind up having to share it with other people. And they would wind up with a bunch of crap that didn't work because, again, the place was set up off of the success from another business. And the same could be said in the IT field. This transfers over to the IT field very, very well because you have a lot of these companies. They may need you to set up a system, or you may go in there to set up some kind of network for them. And you may be sitting across the table from somebody who doesn't really sound like he knows what he's talking about, but look at this, $100,000 office they have. I mean, you may be looking like, look at this $250,000 office setup they have. Look at how hot the secretary is. Look at the LED lights they have in the lobby that change colors. Wow, they're really on their shit. They're all dressed nice. They may be dressed nice because they were really, really good at talking one person out of a lot of money. Or they may be good because their parents, who make a lot of money from the nursing industry, decided, here, you go have fun with your little startup now. And they may say things to you that really don't make sense. They may say things to you that sound like really dumb ideas. You may be at this place wondering, how does this place make money? How does this place work? And if it doesn't make sense, you just gotta go. You have to leave. You have to get out of there. Or you have to come up with a deal that is ridiculous. You have to come up with a situation that you would never offer somebody else, but that you would offer them. In my case, I said, let me use your space for free. I will make things work. I can't go up to a real business and do that. I can't go up to a real business and offer that. I can't say, let me stand in the middle of your office and take customers, and in exchange I'll allow things to work. Because regular businesses profit. Regular businesses make money so that they can afford a maintenance contract, so that they don't need to have some random person that has nothing to do with their business standing there in their lobby making money so that things work. At a real business, you can't just say, let me use this place for free, and in exchange I'll tell people that I use this place. Like, again, that worked for Bob Brockman here. That's not going to work in the real world, but it worked for me. Unless you can come up with these kind of arrangements where working at these Ponzi schemes will benefit you, don't get involved with them. Do not spend money there. I cannot tell you how many people said, this looks like a really, really cool place. This looks like an amazing place, so let me pay for a year of my rent up front to have a room here. I think this is a really cool... And they would pay for the year's rent up front, and nothing would work, and nothing would be done, and nothing would be done on schedule or on time, because, again, it's a non-profitable business, and you just gave them a bunch of money, which went to their expenses, not to building your room, and nothing worked, right? Because their success, again, was in the medical field. They made money in the medical field, and now they decide to open a studio. They don't know how to build a studio. And you need to not get involved with places just because they seem to be successful. I want you to walk into a place with an analytical eye. I want you to look at other businesses with this analytical eye and figure out how they make money. Do they make money? Are they profitable? Are they profitable off of what they do? Are they profitable off of something else? Should I listen to their advice based on what they are successful at, based on how they look? Because this is going to make a big difference in whether or not your deals with them go right. Again, a lot of these people, they weren't even drawing up contracts. They had a year's rent paid for up front, no contract, because that's how a lot of real business deals get done. A lot of real business deals are based on trust. Dale Doughton has a book out there, and I forget the name of it, but where he says, trust replaces management. Now, I'm trying to remember the name of the book, but Dale Doughton has a book out there where he says that trust replaces bureaucracy, and trust requires no management. The idea here is that while you think that all these business deals are done based on contracts and attorneys and tough negotiations, a lot of real business deals are actually just based on mutual trust when people feel that they have their shit together. When I walk into when my accountant comes here, when one of my vendors comes here and we're talking over the arrangements of a deal and he has product on him, he's not going to say, we're going to make up an agreement and terms and this, that, and then we'll send you this. He just drops the box off here. He takes my check and he's like, I know this check is going to work. Let's make money together. And that's how a lot of these business deals work. And now those are the best business deals. Now, the best business deals are not the ones where you're spending a week or 2 weeks or hours going over a contract and then pointing to the contract when stuff doesn't work or the stuff is not the way you thought it was. The best business deals are based on trust. The best business deals are the deals where you just go in, you say what needs to be done. They just trust that you're not screwing them and ripping them off. You trust that you're going to get paid at the end of it because they're a profitable business and everything goes well. And when you go into those business arrangements with places that look successful but are not successful, you open yourself up to not getting paid at the end of it. You open yourself up to misery. You open yourself up to having to sue them when they don't pay you. You open yourself up to them cutting the deal in the middle of the deal because they're going out of business. Now, I'm going to go over my store with this video. I want to go over my store and show you how it's set up. And I want to go over it with a fresh mindset. And I'm going to go over the things that a regular person may notice, the things that I notice, because I'm looking at a business from a profitable mindset, from a how do they make money mindset. Now, I don't want to brag. I don't want to show off. I don't want to sound like an egomaniacal dickhead. But just from an objective standpoint, my business is successful. My business makes me good money. If I want to go on vacation to Vegas for a week and stay in a 5-star hotel and get drunk and do fun things, I can do that. If I don't want to go to work for 3 days, I can do that. If I want to go to a 5-star restaurant tonight in the middle of Midtown Manhattan and have a cab take me home, I can do that because my business is successful. My business makes me money. In spite of that, you are going to see some things here that just look kind of weird in that context. And some people who would come into my business may come into my business and not even want to do business with me just because of the way that it looks. And I want to show you why my business is set up the way it is, why it looks the way it is. And we're not going to look at it from a, wow, look at this amazing office concept. I'm going to try to look at it from the practical concept. So with that said, let me get started on the first Rossman Repair store tour. So the first thing that you're going to notice about this place, opposed to any place else on the block, is that there is no sign. There is absolutely no store sign. This is pretty much an awning that is a display in the window with lights. There is no sign. There is no label. Now, to some people, they may wind up thinking that this means that, oh, you know, we don't have the money for it. Why don't they even have a sign? That doesn't make any sense. Well, part of the business model that I have is that I don't want people off the street. I don't want walk-in customers. I don't want to be somebody's first stop. Now, while you may be thinking as just a passerby, that's dumb, they just don't have a sign. One of the things I'm looking at is they don't have a sign and they're paying their rent in New York City. Interesting. Because again, a lot of places in New York City, they want everybody to notice them. They need everybody to notice them. They need as many customers as possible because working in New York is very, very expensive. I don't have a sign because I just don't need the extra business. We have enough business without a sign to support everything. And again, the customers that come off of the street, the customers that come where you are their first stop, that's not what you want to be. You want to be their second stop. You want to be their fourth stop or their fifth stop after they've had time to comparison shop. I know that what we offer in many cases is the best. Therefore, I'm okay with being the second or the third or the fourth stop. I want you to see everybody first and then get an idea of what it's like in here. So let's go over to the cases and the retail display. These are a bunch of cheap cases. They are not categorized in any way. And my retail display, as you can see, has a bunch of dust on it. So yeah, let's see if we can get a nice zoom in on that dust. And some of these things have been sitting here for, you know, God knows how long. This thing's been here since the beginning of the year, maybe. But now, again, one of the things that somebody may be thinking when they just come in is rinky-dink retail setup. What I would say is they must not really, again, they're making too much money doing what they're doing to care about retail. That's one of the things that I would see from here. Again, I have empty pegs with nothing on them. Let's take a look at the rest of the store here. So that's the air conditioner. That's the window display. Usually I have more laptops in there. Well, one of the things that I do like is light. Light attracts people. So I have all of these LEDs in the window. And then you have these 2 T8 tube lights in the top and the left, which are also LED, to make it very, very bright. I want people to see that there's something for sale. I don't want people to even necessarily know what it is. I just like that they see that there's something in the window for sale. I don't want them to know what we do. I don't want them to start asking silly questions. Now we go on to the signs. Some of these are actually ripped and falling off. I'm just including these for the sake of the store tour. So we got the... Yeah, this says, when will the job be done? When we call you. When you call us, when the job is done. This is for people who like to ring the bell. There are some people that like to ring the bell 4 or 5 times, and I'm right in front of them. And there's nothing I'd like to do more than shove that bell right up their ass when that happens. This is for people who literally will leave things on the table and run out. Like there'll be an iPhone that just gets left on the table, and they'll run out the store as if, no. I don't even... This was something about sales tax. I really do need to redo these. So it's... Yeah, I really do need to redo that. And this is the most important one, but people wind up still getting butthurt anyway. This is the sign that trolls cheap pricks. So if you are a cheap prick and you annoy me on the price of an iPhone repair, I don't even bother explaining what makes us different anymore. I just point, and then point to the door. All right, let's go on to the rest. So these are the new cameras. So I have these. This is one of the older, crappier security cameras. These are the newer ones that I'm installing. They're not plugged in. You may see that that's not plugged in and think, are you kidding me? And honestly, that's kind of what I think sometimes too. Well, the thing about those cameras is that, again, I am sitting here until 1, 2, 4 in the morning working. I honestly haven't had the time to set those up yet. And one of the reasons that I have the bank account that I do is because I am okay with waiting a week or two to put those up instead of paying some surveillance system dude $2,000 or $5,000 to do it for me. All right, let's go over here. So we have PAR. So that's invoices. This is random crap. These are computers that people need to pick up and pay me for. These are machines that have come in. These are machines. And let's go into my room where the real mess begins. Okay, so I've got the shelves with all sorts of parts here. We have batteries, keyboards. This is mostly keyboards and batteries. iPhone parts, chargers, little cables, video cables, printer labels, laptop screens, more laptop screens, broken iMacs that nobody picked up that I stole shit from because they never picked them up. My chair, by the way, if you got to get an Aeron chair for yourself. If you sit down all day at work, this will change your life. And then we come to the table. And again, this is another one of those parts where somebody's going to look at it and just kind of laugh. Because again, you got these lights that are literally hanging with a piece of cardboard and tape off of here, going across this way to my table, and then going and being powered. And they're being powered off of the PCI Express line of my computer using Cat5 cable, which then goes over the monitor to pull them up so they don't fall. It's just sad. And then you got this table with this crappy piping. This table couldn't have cost more than $10, $20 to create. But I want you to look at it a little closer. I want you to look at it a little closer. So the table itself is a mess. The furniture itself is a mess. However, on this table, you have about $2,000 worth of inspection equipment. You have $1,000 of measuring equipment. You have $1,000 or $2,000 of soldering equipment. Inside here and there alone, I've got about $2,000 or $3,000 worth of BGA chips and all these different chipsets for the motherboards. So one of the things that I would see with this is somebody who is too busy working to care that this looks like this. And again, this is one of the things that I want you to think about when you walk into places. This is one of the things I want you to think about when you walk into a place and you see that it looks pretty and the office looks amazing, and you don't see anybody sitting down coding. You don't see, like, when you go into a programmer's office, you can tell that it's a programmer's office. When you go into an electronics technician's bench room, you can tell, like, this looks familiar to me as an electronics technician's bench setup. When you go into an iPhone repair shop, you can usually tell what it looks like in an iPhone repair shop. But when you go to a place and you see everything is perfectly clean and spick and span, and it doesn't look like there's any work getting done, I want you to wonder to yourself, how do they make money? Again, I'm not making an excuse for being a mess. I am completely aware that I am a mess. I am. But one of the things I want you to keep thinking about is, does this place make money? How do they make money? Do they make money off of what they're telling me to get into? Are they experienced in the field that they are giving me advice in, so that you know whether or not you should listen to them, whether or not you should work with them, whether or not you should work for them? So this is my technician's office. He put this on the door because I have fucked up his office many, many times. He never says that it's me. He always does this nice thing for all who enter, or I don't know who messed this up, even though he knows that it was probably me because I'm a mess. So this is what he put in there. And yep, that is a picture of me, that's a picture of me, that's him, that's me. And again, let's go over this. So this is his setup here. This is his computer with the 2 monitors. This is actually a really nice clean setup, even though it looks, cheap. All the screwdrivers are right in front of you. All the SATA cables for drives you plug in are right in front of you. He has his workspace where he can look down and work. There's a light that is very, very powerful, 4 LED tubes right above his head. And there's the 2 monitors, which make it easy for, looking at tickets in one screen while doing a data recovery or whatever on the other one. And he has all of his parts right up there. He has spaces for machines that he needs to pile up over here, and for all the recycled crap, it goes over here. Now, you may look at stuff like this and say, what a mess. Or you may look at something like where my ultrasonic cleaner sits and go, look at that. Look at the table that's on. That table came out of John Grossbard's Planet to Planet Studios. That table is from the 1970s. But I don't want you to look at the fact that it's just a nasty table that has a piece of equipment on it. That nasty table has a piece of equipment on it that is worth about $1,000 now. That is a Crest CP500 HT ultrasonic cleaner. Now, one of the things that I want you to think about when you may be judging or looking at this setup, again, if I was trying to get a large client, if I was trying to get a bank or a government client or any kind of outsourced work here, and they saw what this place looked like, they would run out the door in a second. But one of the things I want you to think about really hard is whether or not anything would be added to my bottom line by changing the way that looks. If I were to replace this disgusting table with a nice table, would I make an extra dime out of it? If I bought a new table for $300 to put that cleaner on, would that result in my employees being happier? Would that result in them doing work faster? Would it result in that cleaner heating up faster? No, so I don't do it. I invest where it's smart to invest. Same thing here. You look at this table, you may think, what a fucking mess. Look at this cheap furniture. Look at this crap. I got Tupperware and this stuff over here, but look at this. This is a $7,000 piece of soldering equipment that's sitting next to a $600 piece of soldering equipment. So you have a good maybe $8,000, $9,000 worth of soldering equipment on top of this table. Now, you may make fun of the table, but what the idea that I get into my head when I look at this is this is a place that's worried about getting work done first. They're not worried about whether you find them. They're not worried about whether it looks amazing. They're simply worried about getting the work done. That is the priority. With my table, I don't care the way it looks. Again, this is my setup. I make thousands upon thousands of dollars sitting in that chair at this setup, and I can tell you that I don't give a fuck less that the lights are hanging on the side. I really don't. The reason the lights are hanging on the side is because IKEA did not have enough shelves the first time I went there. Am I going to work without light because IKEA doesn't have the shelves? No. And at the end of the day, if I get to choose between repairing the board for 3 or 4 new customers or wasting a trip to IKEA so my store looks nicer, I am here for the customer. My decision is always going to be for the customer. It's not going to be on doing something to just make my store look nicer. Now, let me just close the door in the front because I am going to get robbed blind if I go back to the office to finish the video and leave the door open. Again, this is New York. You really can't trust people. They are all pieces of shit. Ugh. This is why, by the way, when people knock on the door late at night or before I open, that I ignore them. Because again, if I were just turning something here to open and close the door, that's cool. But you got to bend down. Your knuckles are always banging against the floor as you turn this shit. It drives me nuts. You close the lights so people don't think I'm open and bother me. As you can see, I do like my light. So back to my point here. You know, let's talk about the repair. I talked about the studio business. I talked about some startup companies. Let's talk about even just the basic repair business. You know, you'll see that there are these places that get these rave reviews. You'll see that there are these places. They're really, really small. They look perfectly clean, like you can't see anything. And then you may walk into their back area and you see one thing open with a screwdriver. You know, it's a very clean-looking workspace, no tools, no multimeter, no mess. One of the things that a lot of people will think of is, wow, this is a really clean, nice repair shop. One of the things I'm looking at is, what do you do? What do you do out of here? Because again, you should be looking for people at work, people doing the things that they say that they are successful at, people doing the work that you want them to do for you when you go to these places. You don't want to go to an empty studio. You don't want to go to a company to have them code your application and see that there's nobody there. You don't want to go to a place and hire them to do something for you that they don't look like they have the capability to do. It doesn't matter that their office looks nice. It doesn't matter that they have a hot secretary. It doesn't matter that they have a nice looking lobby. What you have to be looking for before you work for somebody, with them, or you do any sort of project with them, or you get into business with them, or you get into bed with them, you need to look at what it is they're doing. You need to look at whether or not they are actually successful off of the thing that they are telling you they are successful at, so that you know if the business relationship that you're going to have with them is going to end well, or if it's going to end in a clusterfuck. I'm not trying to defend the fact that my business, it looks like a mess, looks like a whirlwind went through it. Not at all. I'm not trying to defend it. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you a point here, is that what looks successful and what is successful are often two very different things. Because again, you can go into a lot of places in the area, and again, I'm not trying to brag, I'm not trying to be an egomaniac and say that I'm better than everybody, but you can go into a lot of places that are clean, spick and span, that look perfect, that look professional, that have nice lobbies, that have nice areas, that have nice signs, that honestly make a lot less money than we do, and that do offer a lot less service than we do, that outsource a lot more difficult repairs than what we do here, because they just don't do it, but they look like they do it. And it fools people into thinking that that is the best option. It fools people into thinking that that is the best choice. I want you to go into every business that you go into from now on with that type of analytical mindset. Don't just think when you go to a restaurant, this is a nice restaurant. I want you to think, it's 9 o'clock on a Friday. This place is 3,000 square feet and we're the only people here. How in God's name do they make a living? That's what I want you to think about. I don't want you to think that your food is going to be amazing because of that. I want you to think about what type of a successful car dealership did this guy have? How good was he as a car salesman that he can afford to pay rent on this restaurant and have nobody come to it? You know, small things like that are just things that I want you to think about. And that's about it for today. Hope you enjoyed the store tour.